Welcome to the first episode of The Switch. And it's an interview series about people that were able to turn a hobby into a career.
Nice.
Obviously, like a lot of the guests that we're probably going to have, at least in the beginning, are probably going to be like dance related. And one of the big reasons why I wanted you as the first guest is because you're one of the few people I know that that did that like I remember you talked about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a run at like breaking for a living.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, pretty much that's what this is about.
Nice.
Welcome to the Switch.
We're gonna work on that intro, but yeah, welcome to the Switch, man. We're happy to have you as the first guest.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure. Glad to be on. Part of history.
Oh,
Hope
it's gonna be
so.
historic. No,
Let's
this is the
go.
first of many great guests.
Yes, yes. That's what's up, man.
So before we even like jump into this, I just want to say shout out to Felix. This was his idea. This is something that he wanted to do. He wanted to bring on guests. He talks about you all the time. You are like his favorite person to talk about. And
Lag.
like, no, I'm not even kidding. Every time we're hanging out, for some reason you just pop up out of nowhere. We're having food. He's like, man, Roxrite would love this. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, Roxrite isn't even here. Um, and he talks about you so much that I'm curious, like, when did y'all even get to know each other? How did y'all even cross paths? Because you're like a Red Bull BC1 legend all-star. And Felix is this great Break Konnect platform developer, but those two paths don't make sense to me. So what is the origin of this friendship?
It was what 2012, 11 when I met you when you first moved to San Diego. I think it was when
2011, yeah.
yeah, we had a that's when that's when I won the world finals that year. And you're hanging out
Damn.
with the RSF guys all the time. And I was hanging out with them as well quite often. And then from there, I think that's where I met you. We linked a bit. We would practice sometimes. And we always just got along. Always had good conversations. And I mean, you mentioned, I mean, what you're doing now. And I remember we talked about that like years later, but it was just like you already had these ideas and you were doing something completely different than I was. And I guess having those conversations with somebody that doesn't always do what you do is you tend to learn something from one another. And for me, it was just always building with him, and it was just always constructive and forward thinking, especially for what I'm doing. Breaking is very nostalgic, and a lot of us sit in the past, so it's difficult to think ahead as far as you could. So I like to
Right.
connect with people that are thinking more like, let's move forward. Where are we going next? What's coming up next? And Felix had that type of energy. So, I think we were able to just vibe like that and build.
Still to this day, he's got that type of energy. He's always thinking about the next step.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Felix, from your perspective, how did it all begin? I mean, he kind of laid it out to me, but there's two sides to every coin. So I need to hear your side of the story.
I mean, like honestly, uh so yeah, like I moved to San Diego 2011. And I remember when we first met, it was at Tina's house. Like all the RSF people were there, and you came over and you had the belt with you. Like you came into the apartment, you were like, you picked it up and everything.
Yeah, it was a celebration dinner
Yeah, it was a
party.
celebration. And well, the other thing was because I was also moving from New York, and I knew Richie Rich, and he said, "Oh yeah, like Rox lives out there, and the RSF guys, he kind of knew them as well." But I mean, I met those guys through Rock. But anyways, yeah, like that was actually like my icebreaker because I knew you before I knew you, and
Mhm.
when you came to that crib, I was trying not to be a fan, but I was also being a fan, and I said to you, I was like, "Oh, what's up, man? Yeah, we know the same person." I was like, "I know Richie." He's like, "Oh yeah, I know Richie too," and I'm like, "Cool, we are now equals." But honestly, over time, just kind of like knowing you and like practicing and kicking it
Yeah,
became really easy to just be your friend and not be a fan. Like that shift happened faster than I expected to. Um, because you know how people say like don't meet your heroes?
yeah,
It's like almost very true in breaking because I've met plenty of people in breaking that I looked up to that very quickly I stopped looking up to. And when I met you, I'm not saying like you were my hero, but
Yeah.
in breaking, you were definitely someone that I looked up to.
Yeah,
Just
100%.
because of the way you danced and just because how like, how nasty you were. But then when I got to know you, I was like, wow, yeah, you were a great B-boy, but you were a cool ass person. And that's kind of what, allowed us to stay like pretty much be as good friends as we've been.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean that's what it's about. I mean, people tend to get caught up in their ego and breaking, and they feel like everybody owes them something.
Right.
But for me, it's just more always how you treat people is very important. It's not what you do. Breaking something we do, right? But you're still human at the end of the day. You got to be able to interact with people and have conversations. And I think that people get caught up in the fame and shit, and I think that's where they get lost. So it's like for me, it's just this is what we do, But I like to connect with people and build them. Yeah, I mean, we've been able to maintain a friendship for over 10 years now. Damn,
Yeah.
Damn,
flown
it's a
by.
long
Holy
ass time.
shit. Yes, a long ass time. It's like 15 years almost. I mean,
Um,
yeah, yeah, damn. It's been a while. Yeah.
um, so yeah, so I think like, you probably get asked this a lot, but this
Mhm.
is for potentially people that don't know about breaking, and maybe that's some of the audience that I'm going to bring in. But
Yeah.
so when did you start breaking?
Yeah, I mean, I started breaking in January of 95. I found breaking at school, seen a bunch of kids doing it, but prior to breaking, I had started to fall in love with the music of hip hop. My older brother used to listen to a lot of hip hop, and he always had all these albums. And then in the early 90s, I got into watching a lot of music videos on MTV, and I used to record a lot of the videos, and some of them featured breaking in it. So I kind of just knew what it was, but it wasn't until I went to junior high to my first school dance and I seen kids just breaking in a circle that really got me triggered to want to start breaking even more. And that was in the fall of 94 when I saw them breaking in person. And then in 95 was when I just decided to say, you know what, like, let's just do this. Like, I started trying it and just went to my friend's house and started breaking every day. And it never stopped. And we are 29 years later.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue to the next part of that question. What's kept you going for all these years? I mean, there's so many dancers out there that even like dancers that start out as kids that you kind of like think about, I wonder where they're at now.
Mhm.
And when you think, I wonder where Roxrite is now, that's not even a question that comes up because like, oh yeah, he's right there. He's there.
Yeah.
He's there. He's there. So what's that drive?
I think it's just living it, just being in it, and just this is something that I truly just enjoy doing. It's like other people do things their whole lives, and then for me, it just happens to be breaking. People get into sports or they get into gaming or different things that they always do, right?
Mhm.
And for me, it's the one thing that I've always just done is break. I've always just practiced. I've always studied it. I've always worked on developing it, and I just enjoy the process of living it like that. Um, I think, of course, what helped and helps is that I was able to do this as a profession, right? I was able to find an avenue to where I was able to do this as a job and sustain it for as long as I have. So I think that opened a different door for me because maybe in my early 20s or mid 20s where it might have not happened, I would probably still be practicing, I'd still be breaking, but maybe not to the consistency that I do now, right? So for me, it's just truly loving it, just enjoying the process of it. The same reason you go to practice every week, even if it's once a week, twice a week, is you still want that freedom of letting go from everything else that you got in life. So I get that feeling every time I hit the floor or every time I go to practice. So I just enjoy that feeling, and it keeps me pushing, and keeps me alive and keeps me accountable for what I'm trying to do in life.
Wow.
That's a perfect answer. I feel like we have you here on the podcast for that reason, because you do this as a job. So,
Mhm.
by the way, not a lot of people can say that they do breaking as a job. So just having you here as one of those few people makes you like in the top 1%, you know? Um, but before we even get to the details of what it's like to live as a breaker with like money involved,
Yeah.
do you remember the first time you got paid to break?
Hmm.
Like the
I didn't
first
get
thing you
paid. I
ever
didn't
got
get
paid to do?
the first thing I mean, I didn't get paid to do it, but the first time I won money, was in 98. It was in August of 98. It was maybe my second competition. And I won $51 bills. And I went
$51 bills.
and a one-on-one, a local ass event in Northern California. But the talent, there were so many active b-boys at the time there, so the battle was actually pretty tough. Um, and I ended up winning. That was my first time winning a one-on-one. And I remember the guy, it was like a little community center. It was like next to this church. It was literally like just a room. And it was just it had an outside area inside. And yeah, the guy gave me $50 for winning. It was cash. And I went to Jack in the Box with my friends and we all ate. That was
Back in
it.
the day, $50 went a lot further than it does today,
And
bro. That was cash back then.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think that was the first time I won money with breaking.
But what about the first time you got paid to do like a dance job?
Okay, let me see if I got the first time. Oh, actually, no. The first time I got paid was in 98 as well. I started
Yeah.
teaching breaking in
Okay.
98 at 16 years old. My mentor ended up getting a job. He's older than me, so he got a real job with the tech company up north. And he needed somebody to sub in for him. And
Mhm.
he put me on the spot and just asked me to go teach. So I started teaching in 98, and that's the first time I got paid for something related to breaking outside of competition or
Damn.
like that.
So when was the first time that you felt like I could really make money on this? You know, like did
I,
that thought ever cross your head in 98?
no. I don't think I ever thought of it as something that I was gonna. It's difficult. You can't really say that anybody really thinks of it that way. Maybe we were looking at it more as a way that can we make money from what we love to do?
Right.
Because the reality is breaking is difficult to sustain. And the first time I think I realized that I could was in 99 and when I went to Prime in Miami. I won a ticket there.
Oh
And,
shit.
I just seen a lot of the pioneers, a lot of OGs there, and they were all breaking still, and they've been breaking since the 80s or 70s, and you're just blown away that you're seeing all these icons there, and then they're all just still active. Maybe there's some of them were in their maybe early mid 30s, still breaking heavily. Some of them in their early 40s, but they were still active. So it's just like it really gave me a perspective, and they just did it obviously because they loved it, but some of them did it professionally and were getting paid from breaking. But yeah, first heard about people making money from breaking around, yeah, I would say 98, 99. And at that time there was off Broadway shows, so that was one avenue that a lot of people were looking towards because that's where we saw a lot of the people around us
Mhm.
getting those spots. Like you had a Gem on the Groove, I think it was. They had Wicked, they had Remind, they had Crumbs. So they had Crumbs and Remind and Wicked, and these guys were at a very young age at that time. And I remember Wicked ended up signing with the show in Vegas called Manhattan, I think it was called.
Mhm.
And he left as like a 16, 17-year-old kid to go do shows in Vegas. And it was those were the first times you heard, okay, people are making money from dance. And
Damn.
luckily for me, it was I happened to connect with these people. I happened to connect with Wicked, who became my crew member. So I started hearing about how he's doing it. And then you see Ken Swift at that time, who was for me, one of the pioneers as well in the profession of breaking for a living in terms of not relying on the industry, but being independently through the scene.
Mhm.
Um, Along with him, Gremlin, there's a lot of guys that were already doing it, but you didn't know till you met them and you had those interactions. And then, oh, shit, sorry.
Damn, rookie move, bro.
Yeah, so you're having these interactions with these elders, and they all have been doing it and have been sustaining a living from breaking purely. So it just continues to show us an avenue for it. So I didn't, but even then, I didn't think that it was something that I would be like, oh, I'm gonna make like money from it. I just said, okay, I want to do this. I want to continue to compete. And for battling, there wasn't an avenue. So it was just you competed to a certain age, and then you had to go to come to Hollywood, do music stuff, or you had to have different hustles that got you money elsewhere, but you would still be involved with breaking.
The thing that I want to really know is, and the reason I'm
Yeah.
like was really curious about people's and their journey
Mhm.
is you and I have talked about this a lot, like the moment where you decided I'm gonna quit my day job and I'm gonna
Mhm.
be a full-time b-boy.
Yeah.
So like the first question is like before you were doing, like before you became full-time as far as
Mhm.
breaking goes, what were you doing? And when did you decide to be like, all right, I'm quitting this job to be a full-time dancer and to make a living just breaking?
Yeah. Okay. I worked many jobs though, so let me go down the list. I was a camp counselor for kids for the town where I taught work dance classes, and then I ended up working at Trader Joe's from 18 to 21 almost, and I was just doing everything that the store required while still breaking. So I would just break, and that's when I started doing shows and everything. And I would win battles, and then from there, I ended up working like a linen delivery job. So like all the restaurants and wineries, when they put all the cloth on the table, I had to deliver that. Did that for a little while, and then I ended up getting into delivering pizzas. Sorry guys, I gotta meet this guy. And I ended up getting a job in June of 2003. I started delivering pizzas, and that was actually the best job I found for breaking because I was 21 years old. I was breaking heavily, practicing heavily, wanting to be very active, and it gave me the freedom to work little, make enough money to live, and still practice as much as I wanted. So that
Yeah.
was a job that I did for a while. Um, did it for around 5 years, and then 2006, I actually quit the job because this is where I can say my words when I fucked up because I ended up getting an opportunity here in LA through a crew member to come out and do a theater show, like a touring show, like something like the Nutcracker type of show where people
Yeah.
go and perform. And he offered it. He's like, you got to take this guy's spot. So I quit my job. Like literally, I came to a battle, won the battle, went back to the Bay, and I showed up to my work, and I was like, hey guys, I got an opportunity. I got to quit. And then I just left. The
You
next
didn't
day,
give a 2 weeks
I
notice.
just
You're
quit, and
like,
then I left to
I'm
LA.
out.
Yeah, I'm out, please.
Cold
And then I
turkey.
come to LA, and that shit was all fucking whack as shit. Like then it wasn't even like the lady didn't even know what was coming, so it was just a disaster. So I made a big error. So I went back in 2000, the same year. 3 months later, I go back to the Bay. I reset my life. I started working a lot. I ended up working for the Warriors. I was working at Foot Locker. I was teaching classes. I was battling. I was judging. So I was doing like 5 different things at that time just to get back on my feet. And then ended up getting the delivery job again for another year and a half. And then in April of 2008, on my 26th birthday, I quit. I think I had just reached the point where I was the opportunity of dance was constantly being presented, and I was just content with being okay. I'm gonna work on the weekend, on the weekdays, make my money, have money in my pocket. Because with deliveries, you were getting tips all the time, and it was a pizza place that was very like they had a core fan base, and it wasn't like a main chain restaurant. So the
Mhm.
tips were pretty good, and you were getting paid all the time. So I always had money in my pocket. I would go on weekends and win battles, make more money, come back. I'd go judge and make money. So it was just consistently making money, but also even on the weekdays I was working, and it didn't require a lot of time. So it got to the point where I was being requested more and more and more. And then at that point, it just I hit a wall, and I basically had the opportunity to move out and move to the Bay, like into the city, like Richmond with Kid David, and then just give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I mean, my ex is the one that actually pushed it because she's like, "Hey, just quit your job. You got all these jobs coming up. Just move to Richmond with me and David. We'll take care of the rent. Just worry about breaking." And with that mindset, I had to save my money enough to be able to take care of my stuff. And then from there on, it was on. I mean, as soon as I moved out, I was available for every opportunity that came. I wasn't turning stuff down, which in the way of breaking and the way this works is I kept building my network and kept networking with people, and I had already known a lot of people throughout the years. And I just kept building with people, and everybody, we all stayed in touch, and I kept getting invited and invited, and it just one thing led to another. Me and Ronnie had a really healthy friendship kind of relationship with constantly seeing each other,
Mhm.
and that led to creating the Red Bull team, and that led to developing everything that's happening now in terms of sponsorships with breaking and everything. So
Dang.
it took 2 years from 2008 to 2010.
That was not even that long ago when you really think about it. Like 16 years ago, basically.
Yeah, 16 years ago I quit. Yeah,
That's
for
when he
five
made
years.
the switch.
That's when I
Huh?
made the switch. That's when
There
the
we
switch
go.
happened because the switch
That's
happened
the name of the show.
then. That's not even true. Yeah, the switch happened in 2008. Yeah, I mean, I think for 5 years, because 2003, I would say was the first year where things really started kicking off for me. But I just kept kind of staying in the shadows. I would win something disappear, and I wasn't really that accessible.
Mm.
I did that for around 5 years before I completely said, "All right, let's give this a shot." So
Was there ever a time when you like had to compromise like what you love to do with breaking to make money? Like, did you ever do any jobs that like you didn't really want to do, but you had to do for
I
money?
mean, I mean, all the jobs I did, it was just besides the pizza job, the other jobs, nah, they were all fun. I don't know. I just looked at it. It was just life. I just worked. I don't think I think the linen job I didn't really enjoy. It was just a heavy labor. For the age that I was at, it was really not needed. Um, Actually, working for the Warriors at that time wasn't good for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way they talked to us and the way they treated us. And
They weren't even a good team back then, bro. So you were just doing it for
yeah,
nothing.
and I had already won world titles, so I was like, "Yo, what the fuck? Y'all talking shit to me?" Like,
Do you know who I am?
no, it's not even that. It was just more in general, just the way they treated us. That I felt it was disrespectful, and I just left. I quit. So I was like, it's not worth it. Like, it's not the money's not enough to keep me here to be able to be like, oh, like yeah, I'm working for the Warriors. You know, I don't know. At that time, the way they treated us was whack. So I was like, fuck you, I'm out. So I dipped.
Man.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think in terms of that, yeah, every job I did, I enjoyed. I always some of them, whatever, right? Like I think my first job I didn't really enjoy because of the people and the management and the way they treated you. I think that's
Mhm.
what messed with me. But other than that, yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just life, bro. I don't know. Just work, and keep trying to go to what you're trying to achieve, right? Like still have your goals in sight and don't lose sight of what you're
True.
trying to do in life. Because for me, I always dreamed about breaking and pursuing breaking to a higher level. So even though I was doing those jobs, when I was in those jobs, my mind was thinking of the next move and breaking, the next thing I was gonna do, the next battle, the next trip. I was never stuck in that place because I knew that I felt that I had to keep pursuing what I truly loved. And I was okay with not having nothing also because I didn't have anything.
Right.
So it's just like I was okay with that. I was like, this is what I do, this is what I love to do. And a lot of us get caught up in the chase or get caught up or blinded by other things, right? So
It's
society paints a
changed.
certain picture.
Well, it's kind of cool that you're talking about like kind of evolving as far as like dance and like going to the next thing.
Mhm,
You're still doing that, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because Unbreakable just happened in Europe,
mhm.
and you won. You're 42 years old, and
Damn.
I
Just
feel
straight
like
up.
everyone you beat wasn't even 30.
Yeah, man. It was a crazy day. It was nice. I think Unbreakable was something that I told myself that I wanted to win years ago. It was, as a competitive breaker, there's certain things you're trying to achieve and accomplish throughout your career. In my peak years and the years that I was the most active, I pursued certain titles and I felt like I achieved them. I got them. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, there's more to win. There's more coming up. And then I saw Unbreakable as one of them and Undisputed as another. There's a few of them still out there. And I remember last year they hired me to go judge in a local event, the people that throw it. And I told the guys like, man, before I quit, I want to win one more world title or one big event like your guys' event. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, like I've been wanting to. He's
Like,
like,
really, we can make that happen.
no. Then he's like, well, why don't you come battle next year? Just come battle at the event. We'll fly you out to come compete. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, let's do it then. So since that was last December, and I told him that. And then the whole year's been a crazy mess. Then like I've been busy, like getting injured and traveling like every week. So when I went there, I was like, damn, like I prepped, I mean, just through my training, but I didn't precisely train for this one event. I just showed up and I just approached it like I was at practice in the garage. Like every round, I just try to keep building and building and building, remembering moves, remembering ideas, and the environment felt right, everything felt right, and just things started clicking. And I just tried to be as free as possible. And I think the idea was to always do something because I felt like in some battles lately I've been a bit blank or I get lost, and there I just knew exactly connected the moves how I felt them in the moment. So everything just flowed together. And every opponent I battled, I just looked every round mattered. And it's funny because at certain moments you feel as if you don't have any moves left, because it was a 32-man tournament. But every round I just had new moves, and I said, oh, I got this and I got that. And oh, let me bring this one out. Let me bring this out. Oh, I forgot about this. Let me bring this other thing out. And just everything kept on rolling. And in the end, I ended up winning the whole thing. And it was just I think it's a statement to the world of breaking. I mean, and I think in general is, we keep putting expiration dates on people's talent or their potential and capabilities because of the way we see things of when you're a certain age, if you're not explosive, that's, when you're in your 20s, you're explosive. As you age, you tend to mature your game in different ways in any type of discipline or sport. And but in breaking, in hip hop in general, I feel we have a shelf life. And because of that, I felt that winning something like this is to remind them that you don't. It's all in the mind. It depends how you prepare yourself, how well you take care of yourself, and how you develop your craft and what we do. And I mean, same thing with Hung when he won BC1 last year. It was another statement to the world that the oldest competitor could still win a world title or a major event.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was hyped. I know I didn't watch the event live, but I knew it was gonna happen. Like they were gonna post it on YouTube. So I kind of make like an evening of it. I was like, working on some breakneck stuff, and I had like the Unbreakable playing on
Mhm.
YouTube. And then I was just kind of like, and what was cool, they would show the bracket every time.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that you won until I watched the final battle. And I was like, I watched it from like the beginning to the end. So
Yeah.
every time you advance, I'm like, oh shit, let's go. Oh shit, let's go. Cause then I would see like you're still in the bracket. You're like being bum. And I'm like, I was hyped. Like
Yeah.
obviously I'm happy because, like you're my friend and I'm watching you win. But when I was just watching you battle, I don't know, maybe there's something about like one-on-ones versus crew on crews, but
Mhm.
you looked, you're like, I'm gonna win this. Like I could just like your eyes said, I'm winning.
It's funny. I
He
think
was locked in.
I
Yeah,
was locked into what I was trying to do every round. I was worried about every single round that I did. I wasn't thinking about the final result. I was just more like, okay, let's just focus right now. Who I got next? Oh, damn, this guy's dope. He got some stuff. So I was like, let me worry about what he's gonna do right now. And it just every battle was like that till the end.
yeah.
And I think that's what gave me the locked in mindset is that I think focusing specifically on each person in each round.
I think a good point that Felix made was that like a lot of the people that you're facing nowadays, they're younger than you. And a lot of them are probably on the come up. They're hungry. They want to take out someone like you, right? So it's cool to see you step up to the plate and still show everybody like, hey, age is just a number. You still need talent, and you still have to
Mhm.
have that maturity, right? So it's cool to see you still winning at this level. Um, I know we already talked about how you met Felix. You probably do
Mhm.
not remember this, but you did a jam at the Queen Bee in 2012, right after you won Red Bull BC1 World Finals, and you were taking pictures in the corner and I was in that line and I took a picture with you and I used it as my Facebook profile photo for like 10 months, bro. I got a lot of likes on that.
Damn. I think I remember that event. Wow, it's been a
Three
minute.
kings.
I think you battled with David and someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
Three
yeah, yeah.
Kings. Yeah, that
That was
was
three
At
in
Three
kings, yeah.
Kings. Dude,
yes.
that
Wow.
was a moment in time. It was crazy. And you're still a world champion to this day. That was 12 years ago, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
trip. Damn, time flies.
you're transcending generations. And I think another cool thing that I witnessed that you're doing is like you're not just keeping all of your talent to yourself and your experience. You're also bringing up people with you. Like I've noticed you've been battling with Run a lot, with Stimpy, Castrito. Like you don't have to do that. You don't have to go out of your way to be like, yo, like I want to help y'all get to some place. I want to do this all together. Talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that. Like, what made you want to take that step forward and be more of a mentor figure instead of just a solo competitor?
I mean, yeah, it's just with helping the new generation. It's well, one is we want to pass on our crew legacy down the line and how people um come join our crew. One thing is to keep the legacy through the crew, keep our traditions alive, keep our lessons and the way we approach the dance and everything. But one is just because I'm still active, I still love to be able to get down and they brought a whole new blood of fire that I think we were missing, and they just motivated me. But I got to give a massive shout out to Jose for this because I'm in Squadron and I'm in Renegades, but I've been in Renegades since 2000, And in 2020, Wicked in politics handed me down as the position of president. So they wanted me to become the crew leader, but because I was active, I was able to battle with Jose at a time when we didn't have nobody else. So Jose was like the newest member, and he was younger in the crew, but I felt that he's also just a very dedicated person to what he loves to do, and he also kept his he built his network. So it was like the way that he was networking, he was already linking with the guys in Mexico. He already knew them for years. He had already been building, going there and building with them. And I had met Run that same year in 2019. So throughout time we just kept building. And like Dos was another one. He came here to train with me for like a week. He flew all the way to LA in 2019 to come train and just develop. So it was just all these guys just started kind of connecting one another. But Jose, I would say, is the one that really helped me find that fire. And because the dedication that he showed, I was like, yo, I gotta try and pass on my knowledge to him to help lead this crew, because I feel like that's who we have to put in place to lead this crew down the line anyways. So it's like, why not just build with him? And he's building and working hard as hell. So it just connected, and it was like the right things clicked, everybody clicked, and we all see the same vision. We see what we're trying to do. So with me, that helps a lot. And you gotta want to do it. I think they're very studious, they're student like, so they are willing to listen and like, and basically add to what they're doing from our lessons, right? If we're teaching and sharing the information, you don't have to break exactly like us, but
Right.
I hope they're picking up the information and applying it into what they're doing and what they're good at. And yeah, it's been, I mean, honestly, like they just resparked me and gave me a new light to push forward as well. And with them, it's just, I know that the crew represents a certain thing. And truly, for me, in 2021, when we did freestyle session, where it was just four of us, like
That was tight.
that was truly a feeling of like, there's not, we don't care if we win here, like, let's just make a statement. And that's what we did. And I think that type of vibe and chemistry is bigger than winning titles or anything like that.
You
And
guys got to the finals, right?
yeah,
Or if you got to the finals, like, yeah, that I remember I was there. That shit was epic because, yeah, it was just the four of you. It was a 5-on-5. You
mhm.
guys were a man down. You guys put a hurting on him too. Like,
It was a crazy weekend, but yeah, it's just, one is just that it's just me, people that put me on, they always went out of the way to really share their information and give back to me. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for those people that took time out of their schedules, out of their life to share with me and teach me certain things that helped me get to where I got to. So my thing is to give that back to the next gen. And now with all these new members in my crew, my goal is to either inspire them or just give them keys to my approach and the information that I was shared, and kind of pass on that lineage that was given to me through my elders.
yeah, I actually want to touch on that real quick. Because people always say, like, yo, take so and so's workshop, take so and so's workshop. I mean, honestly, to this day, I've never taken anyone's workshop. But
Awful advice.
Very, very thoughtful.
But what I'm saying is, there's people like when you try to do moves and you ask somebody at a practice that has that move, right? And they'll tell like, well, yeah, like this is how you do it. And then you try to do what they say and it's not working. Whenever I've practiced with you and I've had to learn how to do a move, you would give like the most basic breakdown of that move, and then I would do it, and I'd be so surprised at how simple it was. Without fail. The reason I say that is because I tried to teach. I'm terrible at it. Never want to do that again. And like, if people watch this, like I'm gonna, like all I'm gonna say is take your workshop. Learn from this man. Because by far the best instructor I've ever experienced. Just like, I mean, it's never been like a formal instruction, just like, yo, just do this and like, put your like roll this way, da, da, da. Like I would do it like, holy shit, that's it.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all I had to do. So, yeah, just kind of like want to make sure like that comes across at some point in this interview, and just how vital the knowledge you have is.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's just I guess he's from practicing it throughout the years, right? Nonstop.
He just did a whole commercial for your workshop, bro. He's trying to put more money in your pocket, making sure you
Let's
never
go.
go hungry, bro.
And man, when you're a Patreon subscriber, I'm definitely trying to put money in your pocket.
There we
Let's
go.
do
There we go.
it.
So kind of flipping the page a little bit, we started here. I started the question with renegades and that new generation.
Mhm.
Speaking of new generations, there's a new generation of Red Bull talent also. And I think ever since you won that championship, and even like as being part of the Red Bull team before you became champion, you've always been linked to Red Bull. I mean, you joined the call with a Red Bull hat on, bro. You're just doing product placement wherever you go. Um,
I'm endorsed,
Tell us a
bro.
little bit about what it's like to have this relationship with Red Bull for so long, and what kind of role do they play in your life at this day and age?
I mean, to have some, to have a, work with Red Bull as long as I have and have the relationship I've had with Red Bull, um, it has been definitely a life-changing thing. I mean, the fact one is that they support breaking. Think about that. I think because we're all living in it and we're all just so used to this world that we're in now. But the reality is nobody has taken this as serious as Red Bull has for the last 20 years. Any other brand that has come and gone, Red Bull has been dedicated to continuously support the worldwide scene. And they were able to endorse a group of us in 2010 and gave us an opportunity that I felt was almost non-existent at the time. Um, the relationship has been for me very pushed me forward. It's given me, and the, like, not sound cliche, but it's like it's given me wings to push myself to higher levels through dance, right? Um, and
Nice.
because of that, I just I don't want to sound like corny, but this is true. It's like if I hadn't been supported the way that they have, I learned from them so much. I mean, from not just what we do, it's like how we, the way they represent the brand is just, to me, has always been inspiring. It has always inspired me to understand how I'm approaching my own personal brand. Because of course I'm Roxrite first, right? They sponsor me, to support me, but I've learned a lot throughout the years from them, and it's just been like such an eye-opening, like a never ending learning curve, working with them and being a part and really being connected with them. They played a big role. I mean, the fact that I'm all over the world, a lot of times it's through their requests. Like, hey, they're requesting you here. We want to support them at this event. They want to, can you go over there? It's like, oh, why not? I've never been there. So it's just been a very, I mean, for me, it's been a great relationship in terms of where we're at, where we're going, and how far I've gone with it. I think my role now is a bit different. I'm a bit older now, so it's just a bit more of a mentor, judging, uh, teaching a lot, doing content, speaking on breaking more, talking about our world to the rest of the world. So yeah, it's been for me. I don't know. It's just been, of course, there's challenges here and there, but they've been good challenges, and I feel like we've been continuously building for the last. I started working with them in 2006.
Whoa, 2006?
Yeah, it was the first time I did a job with them, and when I got invited to BC1, because I think people don't realize also is when I got invited to BC1, it put me in touch with the local reps, which ended up helping me build relationships with people that were not just related to the breaking world. And those connects always looked out, and they always reached out like, oh, we want you to do this. And it was just from me being invited to the world final. So imagine what it does for other kids in other countries where they become the representative of their country, and then they build this connection, and then they get more opportunities. So it was the same for me, but at a time when it was still pretty new to us. So yeah, it's been a journey, man.
That's
And
really cool to
obviously,
hear.
yeah, and Ronnie, and shout out to Ronnie because he's played a big role. Um, because he got sponsored before I did, but me and him made the finals in 2007. But because he was so busy with touring with the ABDC when they won, he was always like, "Yo, get rocks, take rocks, take rocks." He was always like helping me, uh, be active with them, and I think that just both of us really shared a similar vision, and that's how a lot of these things ended up becoming.
Damn, Ronnie's a real one.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear you speak positively about Red Bull, especially in a time when a lot of people I feel like have like maybe a shaky understanding of what Red Bull does for their talent.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really cool to hear that like, yo, like they're positively impacting people's lives and they're not the culture vultures that everybody wants to like paint them out to be. And I mean, I also have a positive relationship with Red Bull, right? Like I always say the same thing, but I'm not Roxrite. You're Roxrite. So the fact that you're saying it makes me feel like, I'm not alone in this party. I think Red Bull does great things. It's cool to hear that. I mean, 20 years of this relationship, man. Insane. Shout out to Red Bull for real.
Yeah, yeah. It's been crazy. Yeah, I mean,
As one of the few people that can confidently say that they've made a career out of breaking and has made, money, like true money out of breaking. What do you feel when people are like, oh, breaking isn't a feasible career? Like, don't quit your day job, kids. Do you feel like now more than ever, it's like a possibility, a true possibility?
I think it's 50-50. I think we're taking steps
Okay.
forward for some of us, and some people in the scene are moving forward in certain ways, but others are setting it back. Um, it's just, but I think that's just what it always is. There's never a full forward moving idea of making breaking as a sustainable thing. um, I think it's becoming more accessible for a lot of people because in today's era now we have social media, so you necessarily don't need to be dedicated to one thing. You can find different avenues through becoming a person, some that people, a lot of people follow, right? If you have a following, you can make brand deals with a bunch of brands and be able to make money from that and still push your craft, right? I think then the end goal is to push your craft, to constantly stay pushing your skill set and evolving it. Um,
Mhm.
in terms of competition and competitive breaking, there is a few people that are doing it, but I don't think that it's as accessible to the American uh, people uh, because just too much bills are here, just a lot,
Too
and
expensive, yeah.
yeah, there's no way that you can just go to win one battle a month and make $1,000 and
Right.
pay your bills with that. It's
Right.
really difficult, right? Maybe in a foreign country where $1,000 will last you 2 months, that makes sense, right? You can make a living from breaking. So, and that's why I said it's 50-50. In some places, yes, some guys are doing this professionally already. They're pursuing constant work and constantly being flown out, but their overhead is small. Where in
Mm,
America, it's just as an adult, you're gonna have massive bills just to pay rent. It's like
that's true.
your prize money is not even rent money for a lot of places, you
not,
know?
not
So
even
it's just
close.
like, yeah, exactly. So it's just when you really break things down like that, it gives you, this is why I said it's like 50-50, right? So it's like some part of the world can make it and the other part can't. It just comes down to circumstance. Because breaking is not something that society views as a sustainable way of life in terms of career path, then we're having to constantly fight with society to put our foot through the door and be like, this is what we do and this is what it is and this is how much it's worth and we should be doing more of this and we should be, but you also have an old way of thinking when it comes to mainstream society, right? The mainstream, just the world in general. It's like the future is disciplines like this, right? Like BMXing, skateboarding, breaking. These are the future things that need to be implemented in the school systems. That's the reason
Right.
kids aren't even interested in going to PE anymore. Is I feel like these things are the future wave of what could potentially be something different to teach. But because we're so outdated in the way we view things, I feel like that's what holds us back because we haven't reached those levels yet, which I think we should be already because I think the things are evolving, everything's evolving, but our school system's still stuck in the past.
Right.
But meanwhile, we're the most influential culture in the world. And they're still looking at us from like, yo, it's 84. You guys got cardboard? Dumbass shit. It's crazy.
Let's segue into the next question, actually. Thinking about the future. So, as being one of like, I guess, okay, I'm looking at the question and it says like as one of the older active legends in the scene. But to be honest, you're not really one of the older ones. You're kind of like
Like expired milk.
you're about to be expired milk, but you're not expired yet. Or maybe you're
About
kind
to
of
be
like at
there.
that point where you're at the fridge, you're looking at the expiration date, and you're going,
Like, damn, is this
sure,
still
it's
good?
still good.
Like, this is still good? I don't know. It's been sitting in the fridge for over a year. I
But
don't know.
everything you just said, where do you see breaking going from here? I know like people were like, and the thing is like, I never kind of bought into this, but people were saying like, oh, the Olympics are happening. It's gonna like, we're gonna rocket ship this thing into outer space because there's gonna be all this interest. But is there an opportunity for us to skyrocket? Um, you know, or is it always going to be the case where we're kind of plateaued? And if we want to go further, what can we do?
Damn, that's a tough question.
And maybe it's not on you to like have the exact answer, but your input is absolutely like valid.
Yeah, I mean, you can never say which way breaking will go because in times, doing it 29 years, we've seen many things happen. And even at moments when you would think that certain things were going a certain way, it just didn't turn out that way. Somehow it always goes the opposite way of where you might potentially see it. So I can't really say what I see in the future. I think that there's going to be more people doing this globally for sure. Whether we get a lot of attention because of, well, we did get a lot of attention because of the Olympics, but that's 50-50.
The
And
attention on it.
but I can see, I mean, it's growing. I think to help further this and change its perspective on what we're doing, I think we need to get connected more just culturally in terms of music, fashion, and all these things, and the way we promote that. I think we're in still almost in a jiggy era of the way we promote it. Like
Yeah,
we're like in the late 90s music video era of the way we promote breaking. It's like this constant dance videos, and it's like our faces are looking at the camera, and it just looks like a Disney cartoon, or like just looks like too mainstream for me, and the music is like music that everybody else likes. We're not breaking new sounds. We're not being influential the way b-boys were before. So back in the day, b-boys were influential socially. People looked at them towards fashion, the shoes. What shoes are these guys breaking in? Or what are they rocking? People could tell that you break by the way you dressed. They were influential in the streets as well.
Mhm.
So it's like breaking. A lot of people don't think that way no more. It's just we're just breaking and re-emulating things, right? There is people, of course, that are pushing the envelope on a lot of these things and really connecting these dots, but it's less of a smaller percentage. So we just need to be more conscious of the way we present this dance to the world and how we tell our stories. I think we don't tell enough stories, and there are so many beautiful and inspirational stories in breaking, but none of them, we don't know about any of them because nobody wants to talk about them. Everybody wants to keep putting down the same dance video with the same music, with the same thing, looking at the camera, smiling. Like, I want to know the gritty. Like, I want to know stories. I want to know how you got here, what you're doing. Like, it's just the storytelling. Nobody's telling stories to really connect with the world and really inspire the world until what like control the narrative of breaking instead of these outsiders coming in with the Olympics coming in and all this media coming in. We're continuously letting them navigate and tell us which way we go. Like it's like we should take control of that and move the dance forward. And I mean, as we move forward, I think that's the wave of the future. We really have to start thinking beyond the moves.
100%. It'd be really cool if somebody like created a platform that did this connecting and was, oh, wait a second. Wait a gosh.
I see. Okay, so I'll speak on that because I've shared conversations with you about Break Connect. I think Break Connect is the wave of the future, and I think we're still stuck on old ways of approaching event organization or the way you sign up for an event. The fact there's a big ass line, and I have to wait for hours just to put my name on the list or whatever, and then pay. It's like when you can all do it in app. The whole world is doing everything in apps now. What do you do when you go to the store? You pay with your phone. What do? You freaking use Apple Pay or whatever card you have on your phone, and you just tap it, and you're in, and you're gone. So why are we still doing these things this old way, right? Like I feel like you guys are developing something that is going to push the team forward with that side of things, but also being independent, right? Like if we're able to build something like Break Connect, it's like Break Connect is something that represents the community. And from the conversations we've had, is like you wanted to go back to the community.
Yeah.
It's just a platform for the community to grow in. And I think it's a win-win. But because people don't see it or don't understand it yet, they don't see the potential, right? So with the Patreon thing you guys are doing, I think that's brilliant. I think that that's something that needs to keep growing and keep being pushed forward. Because yeah, that's all about being also self-sustainable. It's like grassroots. You gotta grow
Yeah.
on your own, build so much that they come fuck with you.
I
You
mean,
know?
that's everything you were saying. That's like, we've had, I think every time I have like an interesting idea, I'm like, oh, let me call up Rocks. And,
Yeah,
when you give me like the go ahead, I'm like, well, if he thinks it's a good idea, this is a good idea. So I get excited that you get excited.
yeah,
Um,
That was
okay,
good though. It
so,
was good that we talked about the Patreon because
oh,
we have a
yeah,
segment that we're gonna finish off every episode with.
yeah.
And being a patron gives you the perk of asking any of our future guests whatever you want to know. We'll ask them. We have no problem. We even wanted people to ask, like, oh, like what is Roxrite's favorite morning snack? But nobody did. So we do have some questions though. Unfortunately, they're not about your morning snack, but we do have some patron questions.
Okay, let's go.
All right, Felix, you want to take it away with the first one?
sure. So this question comes from Iban Omani. Shout out Iban. I remember him. He actually joined when we had our like first Patreon like call and everything, and he was there. So shout out to you, sir. His question is, how have you managed to stay in the game for so long? I first saw you in the 90s Pro-Am video,
Oh shit,
and you're still competing 25 years later. Yo, he just did a nice ass callback.
that's dope. Damn, yeah, it's been a while, right? I think those early years really helped me because I had a job and I wasn't so accessible. I kept myself at a distance from a lot of things. So I think those early years helped give me appreciation for what I was about to do. I think it's almost like I look at those years as almost like as if I was before, okay, I'll use an example. It's like you had in the 90s you had NBA players that went straight out of high school to the league, and that became very popular for a while. That's what's happening in breaking now. So for me, those years were like my years of developing and growing. So it's like I learned to really appreciate what I was about to do and what I was in pursuit of. And I think always just being in love with the culture, the music, and the idea of evolving the style has kept me active and not being too active in the competitive world. The most competitions I did in 1 year was 13 at my peaks. Like my peak years of most competitions was at 13. That's barely one a month. And that only happened 1 year. So
Yeah.
13 competitions a year is not really that many. You got people doing like 25, 30, 40 competitions a year nowadays. They'll do two in one weekend.
Yeah,
For me, I just don't, it doesn't, I could have never done that. So maybe in this generation, I wouldn't be maybe where I don't think I would be able to reach what I reached because of that. Cause it's just, that's not my style. It's like I would battle maybe, I skip a month, skip 2 months, and then I battle 2 times in a month, and then skip a month, and then two times again just to make up for that month. But that's because that's the way things happen, and I think that also kept my fire alive and my development alive because it wasn't constantly just trying to just do the same thing at every event. When you hear about people getting burnt out, is because they're going to so many events, they're doing the same moves at every event. I had time to breathe a bit, develop, come back, take a loss, come back with new shit the next month, take another, maybe win that, take another loss, and then redevelop my game, wait 2 months and come new again. So it's just that's what's kept me alive throughout all these years in this world of breaking.
Good approach.
yeah.
Yeah.
The second question is from me, and my question is, what is your favorite jam that you've ever been to all time? Like your favorite jam, the one that you had the
Yeah.
most fun at. I know you're gonna say Force of July Volume 2, but before that jam.
Well, damn. There's a few. I mean, I always go. I mean, I have to go back. There's two that played a big role, and it was just early on. It was the B-Boy Summit '99 and Pro Am '99. Like those two events were just epic and crazy in terms of everything that was there. I mean, the B-Boy Summit had been on a hiatus for 2 years at that point. So when they brought it back to UCLA that year, it was packed, like wall to wall, like thousands of b-boys, like MB girls, and everybody just battling, and like it was very raw. I felt like '99 was the last hip hop year before the future of music changed in 2000. I felt like everything changed in 2000 for some reason. Um, Dabby was something really stood out because it was just that was the first year they featured a competition, but nobody cared about it. It was more about the ciphers.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like epicness going down all over the place, people pushing the envelope of new ideas. And then the prime was because you had the East and West finally connect in the East Coast probably for the first time. And we had this crazy cipher battle in the Ultimate Cipher. But just the whole event was like a week long, almost festivity of events. You had Cipher Jam on the first day. Then you had another day of event where you had like East versus West, and then you had the prelims with the day one, and then you had the main battle, and then the next day you still had more. So it was just like a big festival, and it was just really dope to be a part of that, experience that, and experience hip hop in a certain way that it was at that time. And yeah, it was just really dope. I think those two events really stand out um because it was a cultural experience. It wasn't just a breaking competition. And
Oh, yeah.
then the other one was IBE in 2005. One
Mhm.
USA battled Korea, and that one's
Mhm.
special because it was also like a festival. It wasn't just, it was a lot of breaking, of course, but it was just a lot of different things going on. But I think that one stands out to me because I feel like that's the last year where we had a super competitive approach to 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 not just to win, but to prove a point.
Mhm.
The reason that battle special is because all the Americans that went there went on a mission to let the world know that this is our shit. Because we felt that at that time, a lot of the Korean guys that were battling at that time, we felt that they had taken some of the stuff that we were doing, not just us personally, but like our scene, and copying the styles of the Americans and copying certain things, right? So we were just like, nah, like we're here to fight for what's ours, and then they were like, nah, we're here to prove you the future. So it's just like we're all just, it was like just a clash of titans that needed to happen that hadn't happened. And everybody cared, everybody wanted to be there, and everybody wanted to win on both sides. So it's just made it that epic. So
Damn, this guy was talking about some classics, 99 and 2005.
yeah.
And then obviously 4th of July Volume 2, but before then, right? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Unfortunately, I think that's the end of our questions for the patrons. But for those watching that are patron subscribers, please ask questions the next time. We'll ask anything. Roxrite, for an example, what is your favorite breakfast, bro? Go for it.
Damn. My favorite breakfast, chilaquiles.
There we go. See, perfect. You could only get that if you're a patron subscriber like me.
Exactly.
Favorite toe.
Huh?
Favorite toe. Big, pinky.
Oh, damn, I don't even think about my toes. The middle the
He
middle
doesn't
one.
think about his toes, guys. He
The,
doesn't think about his toes.
the middle one.
Middle one. This was crazy.
Roxrite flips you off and you don't even know about it.
Exactly.
Middle
See?
toe. Damn.
Little toe. Hey, gotta do it one way or another.
That's what's up. Rox, man. Appreciate you so much. Thank you for doing this. Yeah, man. And this
Bet.
part would be like where we have the music outro playing, and then it would be
Word.
black, and then the logo would come in.
Let's do it.
Something like that. Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining, man. Appreciate you for being the first guest.
Yeah. Thank you guys, man. It was a pleasure.